Okay, so welcome to this short presentation for Manage Risk, which is part of BSBRSK501B, and today we're going to be focusing on section 2 of the learning materials, which is based around identifying risk. Okay, so when we're identifying risk, the challenge we have is that determining risk is something like trying to predict the future. And nobody's issued with a crystal ball. However, even without the crystal ball, you've got to figure out what potential risks there are for your company. And this is one of those places where the more heads you can get together working on the same problem, the better off you are. Identifying potential risks is one of those great times for a brainstorming session. And just like with other brainstorming sessions, the more people you can get involved in the process, the better. By having a bunch of people involved, you can generate more ideas. Of course, other ways of collecting more feedback would be customer feedback, discussions, interviews, or just meetings, discussing risks at meetings with team, staff members, department heads, etc. Don't forget, a lot of your internal staff are specialists, these department heads, from accounts, from health and safety, from HR, so they bring a different dynamic and a different set of experience and knowledge to a group setting, which helps add to that brainstorming. And of course, don't forget the power of using external consultants as part of this information gathering. That's not just the consultants you can employ with specialists in their fields, but even talking to your suppliers, associations that you may belong to, industry bodies. They can all help add more information when you're looking at risk, identifying risk. Of course, other places where you're going to find information about risk would be data within your business. That could be sales records. It can be customer complaints. It's a rich source of information about your business, what's going right and wrong. Accident records, obviously, are a great indicator in workplace health and safety as regards risk and risk issues. Maintenance logs around your equipment, or even records of defects or duds produced in the manufacturing process. All those statistics can help you when you're researching risk. You can also collect information from other business areas, your competitors, different departments, different divisions. You may be part of a national company or an international company, and it may just be that you can replicate best practice from one of those other departments or divisions who aren't in your area. Or they could copy something you've been doing in terms of risk, or they can show you an area where they've uncovered an issue of risk that you can deal with. Which obviously leads on this idea of lessons learned from other projects or activities. Most businesses, or all businesses, should be in a state of continuous improvement. You learn lessons from things you've done. The lessons are either, we did it right, that was really good, or maybe it was, we could do better next time, or we're never going to do that again. Whatever, those lessons learned can be used as part of your risk management, and also, of course, a process of moving forward in your business and doing things better. Market research is always a great place to be when you're researching risk. Again, as the market evolves, you're looking for trends in the marketplace, changes in customer taste. This will involve some risks to your business. Because don't forget, when we're talking about risk, we're not just talking about health and safety. We're talking about business risk. Okay? What's going to make your business profitable? What's going to affect your profitability? By public consultation, of course, we're talking about customer surveys and feedback, consumer testing, shareholder feedback. Again, all of these are going to help you when you're researching the risks to your business. And not again, the final, obvious, and maybe almost old-fashioned one, which is review of literature and other information sources. Again, the associations you belong to. You can attend seminars, trade shows, conferences. The internet is obviously flooded with information on almost any subject, and you can subscribe to magazines and newsletters, all which are going to help you in researching the risks that relate to your specific or particular business. And again, can I repeat, not just talking risk in terms of health and safety, we're talking business risk. Okay, but of course, remember the old adage, no risk, no gain. So what do you want to research when you're looking at risk? Well, obviously, you want to look at the source. You want to look at the extent of where, when, why, how the risk could occur. You need to be thinking about the associated factors because risks don't occur in isolation. Think of it as like when you throw a stone into a pond and you get that ripple effect. Okay? Same goes with risk. When there's a risk associated with the business, there's obviously there will be other factors that will be affected by that risk. Okay? History of business, history of your industry will play a great part in risk. Technology improves all the time, which often helps with risk factors, but also obviously new technology can create a risk of its own. Also look at the past, things that have occurred in the past in terms of risk, whether it's the business or your operations or your processes. Past impact is a good indication of future impact. Not getting, of course, potential impact, look into the future and thinking what could cause impact in the future. Keep in mind the idea of implications on other identified risk. So if you identify risks, how may they impact on each other? What will that impact be on your business, or could it potentially be on your business? When you're talking business risk, you can never ignore the implications of competitors and stakeholders. Now remember, by stakeholders, people involved in your business. That could be shareholders, that could be customers, that could be your employees, your management. And of course, your competitors are people who are doing the similar things to you in the marketplace at the moment. Okay? You want to consider the impact of any risk you uncover or risk potentials you uncover on your business objectives. You know, where you want the business to be, how you want the business to be in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, can be impacted on by risk. Now, what I mean here, of course, is that there'll be times when you look at a risk factor in your business and you go, you know something, in order to get where I want to go, I'm better off not taking this risk. Or you may just say to yourself in business terms, if I want my business to be where I plan it to be in the next year, 2 years, I have no choice but to take this risk. When you're doing research, don't forget, look at the current situation. Every business, whether it's formal or informal, has current controls in place. So it's a starting point, not starting from scratch. And the important thing here is to look at what you're doing and see how efficient, effective, economical it is, and whether it needs improving on or is sufficient. And again, that comes down to the cost-benefit issue, which we'll talk a bit more about later. And finally, of course, when you're researching, you want to look at the factors that cause your controls to fail. You know, what might cause your computers all to break down? What might cause an issue in your accounts department why you can't collect the money from your creditors or pay people? In order to uncover risk, there's loads of tools and techniques available to you. Okay, as illustrated again in this picture. You can obviously use expert judgment. Now, by expert judgment, we simply mean talk to specialists. You can talk to external specialists who make profession and provide advice to businesses involving specific areas of risk. You can, of course, use the brainstorming technique, SWOT analysis, within your team to analyze the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats within your business. And if you've not come across SWOT before, it's well worth doing a Google just to look at what SWOT is, but we do cover it quite a few times over the course of this diploma subject. Diagramming is a great way of analysing risk. Basically, you're turning information into flowcharts, pictures. So complex information and processes are turned into pictures, which makes them easier to look at and diagnose, and sometimes you can see the risk more clearly by doing diagramming. I'm going to get into that a bit more during this presentation. You can also obviously work through assumption analysis, better known as scenario analysis. You know, the what if. If we do this, this and this, what might happen. What's the possible outcome? What would be the end result? You have the opportunity using checklists, which again we'll look at a bit later on. Of course, you've got information gathering processes. We talked about those already in the earlier slides, but the more data you can collect on an issue, the more well informed you can be, the more you know about that risk. And of course, document review, reviewing your existing documentation, reviewing existing policies and procedures, and seeing what kind of risks are involved there. I want to touch on one method, which is called the Delphi method. Now, this works through a number of cycles of anonymous written discussion, an argument. It's managed by a facilitator. The participants in the process don't actually meet each other. They don't even necessarily know who else is involved. The facilitator controls the process and manages the flow and consolidation of information. Now, that anonymity and remoteness of the process helps to avoid issues of groupthink, so you don't start thinking like each other. It also avoids that issue of personality conflict, because you don't know who else is involved. More than that, it gives people time to think issues through properly, critique arguments more rigorously, and contribute more fully, because it's not personal. There's no egos involved. The egos are getting put aside. And the editing of responses by a facilitator means that inflammatory interventions can be toned down. So, people get a bit excited and maybe use some more aggressive language. It's toned down. Okay? Meaning the input's consolidated and is more efficiently delivered. It also means that arguments can be refined and tested until they're robust and fully considered. So it's a bit of it's quite a complex method, because obviously you're talking to people maybe in remote locations, never seeing each other, and using facilitators. It can be a bit more long-winded, even with modern technology like video phones, etc. But it is a good way of getting people together and taking the personality out of a discussion. Now, flowcharts are a way of diagramming, and a visual way to examine problems or process. They're often great for simplifying complex details or helping you to see logical flow. Now, if you're doing diagramming or flowcharts, there are certain symbols that are used to illustrate stages in the process. The first, which is more of a rectangle with rounded corners, is used to illustrate the beginning or end of a process. If you're doing flowcharts, you'll also use arrows that dictate direction, the flow of the logic as it goes along. This shape's used to denote an operational input or output. The rectangles used to display a process, and the diamond is used to illustrate the decision or choice has to be made, a yes or no, an either or. Let's look at some examples of these. So here's an example of a flowchart for a customer service centre. You've got the start, direction arrow, into a process which is answering the phone. Then we've got a decision. How can we help you? Diamond shape. It goes off one direction to other, which leads on to number one, which is the whole of the process, or it leads off to giving people product information or helping them place an order, where you can go through processes of taking names and company numbers, transferring them to sales, and then of course you've got the end box, which is a finish. Or we can go from how can we help you to another decision, because they want customer service. What's the problem? Is it billing? That goes off to process number 2. Or is it shipping? Shipping goes to process number 3. Okay, is there a problem with the product? Down to another process box. Take the name and company, transfer to the help desk, finish. So as you can see, what's been illustrated here is a in-house procedure for dealing with a customer phone call, right from the point the phone call is taken to a number of possible 2 finishes or 3 continued processes that could take place. Here's a simple one. A flowchart for a lamp. Does the lamp work? Well, the lamp doesn't work. Okay, so we've got a decision. Okay, is the lamp plugged in? No, we'll plug it in. Yes, okay. Next decision. Is the bulb burnt out? Yes, replace the bulb. No, repair the lamp. There you go. So there's two examples of flowcharts, one quite simple, one maybe a bit more interesting, but they show you the process as it applies. Now you can simplify the written information to something a lot more easy to see and view. When you're looking at risk analysis or identifying risk, you may come across this idea of root cause analysis. Now this is a method of problem solving that tries to identify the root causes of the faults or problems. A root cause is a cause that once removed from the problem prevents the final undesirable event from occurring. So you can see the illustration. We talk about the symptom of the problem, in this case use the metaphor of a weed, so it's above the surface. So something you can see. The symptom is other things you can see. Okay? But the root cause is what's under the ground, the underlying cause. Below the surface, not obvious. And this is something to keep in mind in a lot of situations. When you come across a problem, some people focus on the obvious, the above surface symptom, without thinking about the root cause, what's really causing this problem. Without working out the underlying causes, you're not going to get a solution. And this is very much the case when you're looking at risk analysis. A lot of the time in a business you may see the symptoms. Okay, poor cash flow, lack of profitability, poor performance, poor production, customer complaints. They're symptoms. What's causing those symptoms, the root cause, is what you're looking for. Now, an interesting way of looking at cause and effect is using this idea called fishbone diagrams. And again, it's a group brainstorming method. Okay, this diagram is used to identify all of the contributing root causes, usually more than one, likely to be causing the problem. This methodology can be used on any type of problem and be tailored by the user to fit the circumstances. The use of this tool has got several benefits. Helping a team to brainstorm. It's straightforward. It's easy to learn. It's a very visual tool. It gets everyone involved in the problem resolution because you pair the chart together. It helps organisations stay focused on those problems. Okay, and of course it's promoting the idea of analysis and corrective action. How to solve these problems. Now that may look a bit complicated when I show you a fishbone diagram, but let me show you how simple one is. I mean, this one, for example, is looking at the idea of poor mileage with your car. It's saying the root cause could be the equipment, which would be underinflated tyres maybe, or the car needing tune. It could be the people driving the car, going too fast, using the wrong gears. It could be the materials, wrong gasoline, wrong tyre compound, or poor driving habits. So in this, what could we see with a simple fishbone diagram? There are four major potential causes with subsidiary causes within them. Okay, root causes. Once you establish what root causes are, obviously you can look at your situation and work out which of these causes apply to your particular problem. When you find out which one is the one that's causing the problem, you can fix it or fix a number of those problems. Let's look at how you actually construct a fishbone diagram. So, like I said before, the tool is really effective when used in a team or group setting. So you can use a whiteboard, butcher's paper, flip charts. You might even use post-it notes. So you can move the causes around as you decide on categories. So the first thing you do is write the problem to be solved, the effect, okay, the symptom, as descriptively as possible on one side of the workspace, and draw the backbone of the fish. The arrow is shown below. So in this example I'm going to do with you here, we've chosen to illustrate missed free throws. A friend of mine just lost an outdoor 3-on-3 basketball tournament due to missed free throws. So we're going to decide to have a quick little play with this and just see what was the cause, or what the root cause is of those missed free throws. So the next step in this process of fishbones is to decide how to categorize the causes. There's two basic methods. You can do it by function or by process. The most frequent approach is to categorize by function. So in manufacturing settings, the categories that you would see are often machine, method, materials, measurement, people, and environment. In service settings, we often swap out machine and method and replace those with policies and procedures. In this case, we're going to use the manufacturing function as a starting point. A bit less measurement, because there's no variable experience for measures. It's basically easy. If the ball goes through the basket, it's a score. So here we're using people as a possible root cause. That would be the person taking the shot. We're using material, i.e. material of the ball, as a possible issue. We're using the method, i.e. how you take the shot. We're going to take into account the environment, i.e. the weather. Okay, and we're also going to take into account the machine or hoop and backboard that we're throwing the ball into. Okay, so we've illustrated there 5 potential major root causes as to why we're missing the free throws. Now, of course, you need more detail because there's usually a lot of contributing factors. So in effective fishbone diagram, we'll have a lot more potential causes listed under those major categories and subcategories. Okay, and you can be generating this information that's going in these subcategories either from the brainstorming with the group and team members, or maybe from the data you've collected previously. So, example, we look at the people or the shooter, okay, and we say, well, okay, the root cause of the problem could be his concentration, his or her, their motivation, could be their training, maybe it's not very good at the game, okay, their consistency, their conditioning. We're looking at the ball itself, maybe it's the air pressure in the ball. We look at the method, okay, is it the way we aim, is it we're not bending the knees properly, is that hand position or our balance? Obviously environment, a windy, rainy, sunny day can have all kinds of different impacts. And even with the machine or the hoop itself, maybe it could be an issue about the rim size, or where the rim's been aligned, or the backboard stability. Maybe the backboard's loose, so when the ball hits it, the impact is lost and it falls away. So here you can see all kinds of possible major causes and then subsidiary causes. And of course, by working through those, you're going to more effectively manage and reduce the number of missed throws in this situation. And that's really how you put together a fishbone diagram. So whilst it seems like a lot, it's actually quite straightforward. You can never forget checklists, of course. Checklists are a very effective way of analysing information, okay, particularly in the manufacturing situation. For example, if you count the number of defects on production line that was turning out gadgets, there are basically 3 major types of defects. You've got mishappen or misshaped, undersized or oversized. And let's just say you had 3 shifts working for a 24-hour cycle, okay, and 8-hour shifts. Well, that's how you could construct a worksheet or a checklist, and obviously in each of those boxes you could record the number of mishapen or misshapen, I should say, undersized or oversized gadgets for each of those shifts. Now that alone would give you a fair information in that particular scenario. Maybe one shift has more misshapen gadgets than another, in which case, is it the people on the shift not being trained properly? So even a checklist of this nature will uncover a lot of information you can use when analysing the risks to your business. Oops. Okay, so in summary, in this short presentation, we've looked at the idea that in identifying risk, the more people you get involved, the better. Get people who are on the ground floor, department heads, external consultants, suppliers, everybody, customers, everybody you can get them involved. So the more people, the more heads contributing to identifying the risk, the better off you are. It's amazing how sometimes other people just see things more easily and more quickly than you do. Don't forget all those research risks and tools available to you, from diagramming, data collection, through to all that brainstorming possibilities. And those simple brainstorming tools, like the fishbone diagrams or the Delphi method, or just using simple checklists. Now my advice is to anybody who's been listening to this presentation, take a chance to just flow through it one more time. By all means, look at some ancillary reading material, which you can either Google or check out with our other online tools. Got any questions about identifying risk as a result of this presentation, then please contact one of your trainers to have more of a chat. Alternatively, like I said, just review the learning materials. Okay, our next session is going to focus on analysing risk. Because once we've identified the risk, we've got to analyse it, which is kind of a cost-benefit analysis process. So look forward to speaking to you on the next presentation, Analyse Risk. In the meantime, thank you for your time.